G'day and welcome. All right. Just a simple little video here. How much do you have to spend on a camera? Well, to be professional or whatever. Do you need a super camera? Well, maybe yes, maybe no. Just to give you some theatrics here, and I'll even pop that up. Look at that, eh? Look at that machine. Now this camera, okay, I bought it. It was kind of the one below the mega super camera back in 2003. This is a Nikon D100. Still a great camera. It takes good shots, everything like that. But when you're doing, like, saying you're selling your photos online, and I'm starting to do that, well, I have been doing that for a long time with Big Stock Photo. Now I'm checking out some other ones. And what I'm finding is that this camera, although you can take a billboard-sized picture with it in an NFE RAW, it's literally, you know, like 18 feet by 14 feet or something stupid like that. It's a big picture. It's still only 6.1 effective megapixels. And some of the online sites want like 6.3, or some of them are okay with 3 megapixels and up. So this camera is actually at the point where it can't compete in those realms. So you don't necessarily have to spend $1 million to get a good camera, or even $1,000. But you got a tool to the job type of thing. So if the demand is for, say, 10 megapixel pictures and up, then your cell phone's probably not going to cut it. Your little pocket camera is probably not going to cut it. But then again, maybe your pocket camera will cut it. So that type of thing. So it doesn't mean your camera isn't good enough. It might not, you know, the demand might be for higher resolutions. So if that's something you might want to look into. So you don't necessarily have to go out and buy a pro camera, but you might have to upgrade to something that has higher megapixels. This camera, again, 6.1. It's okay for some of the stock site companies, but also too, because the technology has changed, they got cameras now that are like 50 megapixel or whatever. But I think you're going to average in the 15 to 20 megapixels, I think, is probably the average that's out there now. And even with that, like, you could still, you know, can you really take a better picture with that than this? Well, composure of the picture is 90% of what's going to sell it. The sharpness and the resolution is probably the other thing. It really depends what the client would be looking for. If they're looking to advertise on a billboard, 3 megapixel probably isn't going to cut it. Maybe even 6.1 isn't going to cut it. So with that said, that's something to keep in mind, that you might not be able to sell a bigger picture, meaning you won't make as much. So that means my camera, although it's still useful in other things, such as photojournalism, if I want to get into that, which I'll probably try to see if I can. I would like to get at least one story published a month if I can. I'm going to start doing that again. Find little events in your area that are local. Go cover it when you know that the mainstream media news organizations can't go there. You go and cover it. And you can send it into all kinds of magazines. Say motorcycle rallies. I'm into motorcycles, so motorcycle rallies, I'll probably hit a few of those. You know, talk to some of the organizers, whatever, snap a few photos, take the best photo, send it into a magazine, send it into here, send it into there, newspapers, local newspapers, whatever. Cover the story. And you could probably do little things like that and still get away with a camera like this and it'd be plenty fine. Cover shots, you want to work for like a fashion photographer magazine or something like that, you're probably going to have to spend, you know, thousands of dollars on your equipment to get into that level, to be able to compete on that level. But you don't necessarily have to spend a lot of money on a camera to get a good camera that's adequate for the job. You just have to see what the criteria is for the job. So I guess I'll just leave it at that. So it's just something that crossed my mind the other day, and I thought, well, maybe some people, you know, they think they need to buy that next one up. A lot of times you can get a entry-level camera that takes great pictures. It's a little less manual, and you get a little bit less versatility on it. But 9 times out of 10, most people are shooting, unless they're doing still photography, they're shooting in auto anyway. So it'll probably, you know, maybe a $400 camera will give you the same effect as you know, a $3,000 camera in auto. And I think some of the highest of the professional prosumers are in the $8,000 to $10,000 range. So if you're making money with a hand over fist type of thing, well, then yeah, you probably want to invest in something that can do everything, and it'll probably last you a while. But you could also upgrade too to a used camera that might be like, for example, I could go with a higher, you know, a D5 for $600 or $700. That was like a $4,000 or $5,000 camera new. This was, the body was $2,200 when I bought it on the D100. But you get a camera a couple of years old, it's still relevant, and you get more bells and whistles. You could go that route, or you could just say, okay, well, all I need is 12 megapixels, 14 megapixels, 16, whatever it is, and a little bit of a manual mode, and you'll probably be fine with that. Because a lot of times, like I say, most of the features you're never going to use on this camera. I rarely use all the features on this camera anyway. It's just, if you're going to get into really, really technical stuff, that's where you pay the extra money. But if you can get a camera that shoots really good pictures, really sharp, adequate resolution in megapixels, that's probably good enough. So anyway, I just leave it at that. So anyway, have yourselves a great day, eh?